What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This weekend, I got to put a lot of time into Smite 2's Week 4 Alpha. I played every day, and I got some awesome nostalgia from my early Smite beta days. I put a lot of hours into the OG Smite on the Xbox. I mean, looking back, I had like over 200 hours, and just looking at my stats here, 22 gods were mastered. So I was playing this game a lot. Eventually, though, I did just stop playing, but I know the game has had just constant updates, constant new gods, crazy new skins like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I think even like Slipknot. It's nuts, but haven't really come back to this game and played it. When they announced Smite 2, I got a little hyped. I felt like this is going to be my comeback. I could dive into this one, brand new game, and kind of just start from the beginning versus having to get back into Smite. I registered for the alpha and, wasn't able to get a key up until now. I was stoked when I finally got an alpha key, and I wanted to drop a video giving you guys my first impressions, letting you know what I like, what I don't like, and what I think the final product is going to be. Keep in mind, I haven't played Smite since like maybe 2016 or 2017, so at this point, I really felt like a complete noob. I know they've added a lot to the game, made a lot of updates, but here I am looking at this fresh. One of the first things that you're going to notice when you fire this one up is this warning that you can't skip. They're basically letting you know that the game is an alpha, and I guess not to critique it too hard. The positive, I think, here is that unlike all these other games that are giving you these tests, like the new Conquered, right? They're going to end up changing nothing. I mean, usually what you test is what comes out. Smite 2, from what I've been seeing throughout its whole life, has been doing nothing but make constant changes throughout these alphas. Supposedly, it's gotten a lot more smoother. They are listening to the community with their feedback. And I mean, on top of that, the game is on a new engine now and definitely does look a lot cleaner. I think the gods have lost that little cartoony art style in favor of like this more realistic approach. I'm not really sure how I feel about that because I did like the charm of the original game, but I mean, the graphics are better. And I think that was the entire point. And, we're going to get like the cartoony skins, of course. I already got kind of like a hint of that with like one of the Amir skins. But again, I can't hate on the fact that they upgraded engines. I think it's about time. And I mean, the OG game is old as hell, so it really, really needed it. I was able to get into a game real easily. Conquest is my go-to game type, which is the 3-lane tower defense. Typical like League of Legends MOBAs, I mean, that's another game that I've played, but Smite was basically my introduction. You start off by picking a role and a character. People usually have been playing around your role, which I think is great. It goes to show that, a lot of the people that were playing are kind of like expert players or people that have at least played a lot of Smite 1. So I did run into an issue though on my ultra wide. I'm not sure if this is a bug, but I wasn't able to select a role for some reason. So usually I tried to fill, did a carry, solo, or even support role. I also wanted to talk the changes to the gameplay, specifically the changes I think that I like. Overall, I mean, to give you guys just perspective, a lot of the changes are, I think, changes for the good. If you ask me, the god reworks are a good thing, even if they do ruin your character. I like that they're reworking them. I like that, they want to keep the game fresh. The changes that we got to Neath with the weaves, I mean, after a couple days of getting like used to it, I was able to figure it out. I did like the change overall, and I do think that the new item system is actually a positive step forward for the game, even though it was a little confusing in the beginning. So basically, items now are not locked away. They can be used by any of the gods, and they help you build basically anything for your character. If you're new, if you're confused, if you just want to keep things simple, they added an auto buy system, which I think is also a really good thing. It gives you kind of like 3 builds to pick, and then, you pick one and don't even have to think twice about it. I like being able to build out my own character based on the situation I was in. I think there is a way to also cancel auto buy, so if you want to start with that in the beginning and then tweak it later, that's something that you can do. Overall, I think it's positive. Something that I think was a little confusing, though, is the damage types that each god does. This was something that I didn't understand in the beginning. So basically, different abilities that you have do different types of damage, either physical or magical. These are going to scale based on the items. So I'll give you guys an example. Neath can be billed as an intelligence build that focuses on magical damage with the weaves, and you're able to just do a lot more damage when it comes to that. It's a little confusing, and it really, really involves you learning what each god's damage type does with each ability. But overall, I think it leads to different build variety, which is, I think in games like this, I think it's always a good thing to have more build variety. On top of that, I mean, let's be real, it's going to get a lot easier when the full game's out. We're going to have YouTube guides. We're going to have, sites that give you different builds, especially if they let us save custom builds in the future. A lot of the build issues that I think people have ran into are kind of like iffy about when it comes to the new item store is going to be fixed, especially when the whole community gets their hands on it. You also get to choose a relic like beads, arc, or blink. You can't change these, so choose wisely. Usually for me, I remember from the OG game, beads are very, very important. That one and blink, I think, is really good as well. But beads let you get out of any type of crowd control. A lot of different gods can like stun you and hold you down and just destroy you. So for me, I liked using those beads, even though, coming from OG Smite on a controller to keyboard, I messed up and wouldn't hit the F button sometimes in time, but something I'll get used to as a new PC player. Another thing that I think they've added too was the aspects. These kind of help give like synergy to your playstyle. So each one's kind of built for different types of ways to do damage. There was one that I liked a lot. It did more damage to groups. When I was solo, I think it worked out really well. I think it was called Spiritualist. I also chose the defensive aspect, Warden, when I ran Emir, which basically adds protection and movement speed if you're with an ally. Tried my best to stay near people, but sometimes people just want to do their own thing or not help you kill anyone. But again, I mean, that's what happens when you play these games with no mic and try to fill in solo. I also tried out the Ranger and the Barbarian too, and I'm going to be honest, I rarely felt or even remembered that these were existing. The only one that I kind of like actually felt was Spiritualist, which, did more damage to mobs, so it felt fine. When it comes to the map, it did feel very familiar, but it also felt pretty different. I mean, besides the new fresh layer of paint, you've got the Gold Fury, you've got the Fire Giant, jungle camps. There was like a new feature, I think, where these camps leveled up, which is actually pretty cool. And I think I saw these new random 30 gold drops. I don't remember those being in the OG game. I don't feel like 30 gold is really that helpful, but I mean, whatever. Maybe I'm just not pro enough to understand. But that was nice as well. One of the big changes, though, is going to be the bushes for stealth. Anyone that's played League of Legends will notice these. I mean, this is basically cut and paste from that. I think it helps the game, though. I don't dislike them. I know online, I think some people I've seen have been complaining about it. But for me, it's whatever. I think it adds some variety, and it helps, get some cool sneak attacks and shit off. So now that I'm done talking about what I liked, I did want to get into stuff that I kind of don't like or what I think could use some work. So for the full release, I did talk about this earlier. I think a custom auto buy would be really, really good, especially because it helps us, not navigate that cluttered store. I felt like the store was really hard to navigate. Another thing that I also noticed, I think it was, I almost felt like it was my PC at times, or maybe it was my internet, but I mean, the netcode and the hit registration, it just really felt off. My shots felt very off. It was really hard to hit some shots on some of the gods. And then, speaking of the gods, some felt really, really overpowered. I'm not sure if, maybe they had some really good builds or what was going on. I have seen that they've been constantly making balance changes to like Fenrir and things, but yeah, it just felt like games got very, very one-sided for me. I don't know if it's because I was solo queuing or what, but it felt really, really difficult. And a lot of my games ended up in just like a quick surrender where we were just getting slaughtered. We had disconnects left and right where people were just leaving very, very early on. And I know this is like more of a player issue, but I would say for someone who doesn't have, all the time in the world to play games like this, it's really frustrating to get on, try to get a few matches in, and have players do this stuff and just ruin the game for you. I'm sure, I think in the full release, we're going to have some kind of punishment system for it. But, the AFK, the disconnects, it really sucked. On top of that, I feel like the game felt a lot slower. At least, like, maybe the matches, I mean, yeah, they ended fast when people were surrendering. But it just really felt like it was hard to make progress on these towers. I liked, the tower bounty system where it would, like, drop gold and, like, different buffs. I think that adds a really cool thing to at least, like, the process. But the matches just didn't give me that OG, intense, addicting feeling that I had in the first game. It felt really hard to come back, especially if someone else was getting fed. And it was just really just like lopsided and slow. Versus when I remember playing OG Smite, it was really, really fun making those comebacks. And, I played this one for 3 days, every day that it was out. I think I got like over 6 hours into it. But yeah, it was like within those 6 hours, it was really, really hard for me to feel like, oh my God, I've got like an intense match going right now. It either felt like we were slaughtering them or they slaughtered us, and that was it. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I had fun playing it, right? I mean, I played it every day, but I think the game is still definitely an alpha, even though it's kind of like a pretty polished alpha. Overall, I mean, I have a lot of hope, I think, for this one because at first, I'm going to be honest, I was worried this was an Overwatch 2 situation where we were getting a 2, not that many changes, and just going to burn the community. Here, though, I feel like the game has had changes. I think the devs are constantly tweaking. I don't think this is just a shiny new coat of paint. And I feel like most of the changes, like the item system, even though it's a little confusing, it's going to work out overall for the better. I like, the different strategy of having the bushes there, the stealth. Gold Furies, I forgot to mention this, but they do level and the effects are changing throughout the game. I think that's a good thing. Even the Warhorn, which I think this is new. I mean, I don't know if they added this to Smite 1 where you're getting this like large minion boss. I think overall it works. It spices things up. And I mean, speaking of spice, God reworks, which I know these are going to burn people that are mains or either really like, be fun for people that like the rework. Good or bad, I mean, if you ask me, I think it's a good thing. I think copy pasting a game over sucks. I really will give Hi-Rez credit for this one. I think the fact that they're putting in effort and they're trying to make tweaks, trying to make their gods better, trying to make the gameplay loop better, I'm looking forward to it. I can't like say that, oh my God, this is terrible. What have they done? Keep the OG game because, this feels like an actual 2. It feels very familiar, but also, they're making a lot of changes to it so that it at least feels deserved to have that 2 title next to it. Overall, I'm going to be playing every chance that I get. So if I do get into any more alphas, I want to see how this one changes. I want to see if this one gets any better. But if I had to give a recommendation, I'm going to just go out and say, don't spend money to just test this game out. I think in 2024, we have had way too many games come out where we spend $70 to test out a game and they'll basically make their updates afterwards. I'm looking at you, Call of Duty. It's shitty. It's a really crappy thing to do. I mean, Starfield, I think, was just like a prime culprit of this one. Don't pay $30 to test this one. It is an alpha. I really feel like, this one is being slowly polished. I think if you do get a code, though, I mean, try it out, right? It's not going to hurt. I'm really hopeful for this one. I am an OG fan. I did take a huge break from playing. And I mean, despite getting my ass kicked in just so many games from the diehards that are playing this game, so far, I feel like these changes seem positive. I just feel like they do need to be like kind of ironed out. But I am looking forward to what's coming. And I do think that, they're going to be doing a good job with this one. I mean, the OG game was awesome. I just have full faith that this one will be great. Definitely not getting Overwatch 2 vibes here. And I think that's kind of like my conclusion. If you do get a chance to try it out, if you do get a free code, definitely jump in. And again, I mean, if you're that type of person that really wants to play it, I think you get a guaranteed code if you buy the Founders Edition. I think it's only like $30. I wouldn't personally do it. I kind of want to wait until the beta and everything else comes out. But if you're that type of person, I mean, I can't stop you. Give it a shot. See how it is. Overall, I think it's positive stuff. I think, we'll be seeing hopefully more positive things as this game progresses. And, I am faithful in Hi-Rez on this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know the community has been a little divided on this one. I mean, one day I look online and people love it. The other day I look online and people hate it. I was very just like, I guess mid on this one, but leaning towards a positive direction. I think it'll be good. If you made it this far, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Definitely help us out with a like. Any subscription, anything like that helps the channel out. I am like a variety gamer. I do play everything. I did get the chance to play this one, and I had the unfortunate chance of playing Conquered. I will be dropping my impressions on what I thought about Conquered so far. Let me know what you think about Smite 2 so far if you haven't had a chance to play it. And I mean, let me know what you think of Smite 1. Like, is there a point in Smite 2, or was Smite 1 just worth keeping around? I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.